How do we create something new without destroying the old building we love? That was a question we discussed with our clients, which isn't uncommon for a lot of our heritage projects. So the challenge with Lyons House was adding a contemporary extension which didn't take away from the existing house, whilst giving the clients a space to entertain, accessibility to allow aging in place, and that always requested close connection to the garden. The house is located in the heart of Ballarat, on Wadawurrung country, between the CBD and Lake Wendouree. Ballarat's a city in regional Victoria with a large number of significant heritage buildings. The existing home was built in the 1920s, and like many houses of its time, was laid out as a series of disconnected rooms with poor natural light access. When we first visited the site, the first thing we noticed was how impressive the original building was and how it sort of stood so prominently in the streetscape. It had a lot of potential to be restored to its former glory, and that started with the removal of those non-original 1980s and 90s additions to the rear of the building that were blocking light to the interior and preventing any sort of connection to the garden. Thankfully, they were so poorly constructed that they were easily removed and hadn't damaged the integrity of the original heritage structure. We reworked the original layout of the house to repurpose the original large living areas as the main bedroom, the walk-in robe and ensuite occupying location of the former kitchen. The original structure was well suited to become a sleeping wing of the house, with smaller bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, and the main bedroom conveniently located on the ground floor. As we began to develop the design of the new extension to the rear of the building, rather than repeat the mistakes of the previous extensions that were jammed up hard against the original building, we set about to separate the old and new structures with two small courtyard gardens and a glass linkway. The courtyard gardens allow light into the once dark rear rooms of the existing house, as well as into the study and the laundry of the new extension. We wanted the space to feel as though you were somehow travelling outside through the garden as you step between the old and new architectural eras. So we continued the garden's Castlemaine slate crazy paving through from the garden courtyard into the linkway and then back out to the other side. The linkway leads to the study space that was designed with two walls of glass to connect you to the garden. As you move through the extension, the house opens up and the ceiling height increases in the kitchen, dining and living areas that flow out into the deck and the garden at the back. From the rear yard, you look back into the extension and its impossibly thin roof floating above the steel portal frame. For us, it was important to read this new design in context, so we've maintained a view through the extension to the original structure behind. The design uses a deliberately restrained palette of materials to help create a unified interior. The walls, ceilings and doors are all lined in plywood, giving this sort of sense of warmth and tactility. The design's black kitchen and painted black steelwork provides contrast and definition to the space and celebrates the exposed structure. And those roof beams, well, I like big beams and I cannot lie. As part of the idea of celebrating the structural grid, we had the opportunity to use these deep glulam timber beams to span the large open spaces. The depths of the beams created additional volume and it lets the roof plane float above the living room. They also define a zone at the top of the walls for highlight windows that run all the way around the main living areas. With the assistance of our talented builder, the joinery contractor and steel fabricator, we managed to salvage the beams, offcuts and build a new dining table for the clients, which feels really at home in the space. It's a very narrow site with a shared driveway down the south side. With no street parking, car access was a priority for the clients, but it was also a bit of a challenge for us. The garage is located at the rear of the site and has a vehicle turntable in front of it to allow the clients to exit in a forward direction to navigate the very tight shared driveway. With Ballarat experiencing at least 10 months of winter a year, access to natural light was vital. The clerestory windows allow that wonderful low-angle winter sun to flood in. It also gives you views up to the original house, as well as those little view moments around the site to neighbouring chimneys and treetops. Although some of the glazing faces northwest, this isn't a huge issue in Ballarat, And in summer, we have this large deciduous tree shading the west facade and the rear yard. Given that Ballarat is notorious for its cold climate, we needed to ensure the house was warm and comfortable for our clients all year round. Lyon's house was documented by Owen Doherty as an Associate Director at Moloney Architects and a certified passive house designer. Owen's highly detailed drawings allowed us to eliminate thermal bridging and maximise our insulation values by separating internal and external steel elements and insulating in between. We've got 6.7 kilowatts of solar on the roof of the garage, and the extension's been designed with large eaves to help block out that high summer sun. The insulated concrete floor provides thermal mass, and it also gives you that sitting on a hot rock effect when the sun hits it, which our clients love. Lyon's house has actually been quite difficult to adequately capture in words and films and photos. When you're here, there's this wonderful quality of light in the building when the sun hits the plywood and lights up the interiors, and it gives off this soft ambient glow. It's a somewhat minimalist design, but in the way that it manages light, its pared back material palette and the craft of its construction, we've been able to give the clients a house that feels simple, calm, warm, and ultimately it's a house that they want to stay in for a very long time.